okay, I'm going through this like big transition at work, and then I'm also like doing this like side business of reselling, and then I'm also, in grad school trying to get a degree, and then it's like, and on top of, in the house responsibilities, and I'm like, so you can just go to work, come home, do school when you feel like it, and play your games, your little games. Yeah, when a black woman says "little" in front of something, is major disrespect.
Welcome to
We Grwn.
Question mark?
I'm Moyo.
I'm Shaun.
I'm Jess.
And first things first, what's had you feeling grown?
It's springtime. It's getting nice outside. It's time for my favorite thing to do, cut grass. I know it's kind of weird, but I really do like cutting grass. But I like cutting grass because our yard be looking good. Can't tell me nothing. The end of the year, going out, spreading your little grass seeds. Got to do a little weed and feed. Hit it with the water. One more time, just then as soon as spring come, you gotta do an early spring on the bag and tell you what to do. And you gotta go out there again. But it's a little sad because I don't got the little push jump.
Oh, we had one of
I
those
think
when
I have
but we
one.
used it for weeds.
But we don't use it.
Oh, let me get it
The
because
little.
I gotta ask from Marcus if we have one.
mine is hand crank. So
I
I'd be out
had
there.
the push one where you just.
Nope, I'd be out there and I'd be taking my because you have to do it like a certain amount of steps. So it's gotta be like the same thing every time. You laughing, but my grass look good.
I've been telling you come do my grass shoot.
Listen.
You have, and I have not. But my grass is green as I don't know what. So
I don't care
that's
about
what
my
had
grass.
me feeling grown.
But you just told me a little while ago you was gonna stop watering it.
I did say that because we got this water bill. That joint was $900, and I don't know. I thought something was wrong. I was like,
Absolutely
something's wrong.
not.
I was like, there's a leak. I had the county come out. I was like, run it, check it,
Listen,
do it again.
Somebody's stealing my water.
Somebody was. I was like, They
my
were like,
neighbor actually did that though.
Steal your water?
Yeah, that's the reason we don't have the little crank things on our water hose no more.
That's funny.
Because they legitimately, like when nobody was living here, they hooked their hose up, and he would wash his car, water his grass.
Let me use their water. They
Right,
ain't
like,
using it.
They're not here.
So yeah,
I
it
mean,
happens.
I get it. So yeah, after that bill,
No more.
nah. I told you
Absolutely not.
it's about to be that bath water. Take me a nice little
Scoop?
hot bath.
Scoop?
What you doing out there? Minding my business. Why's the water bubbly?
I need to wash the grass.
Right. You do what you gotta do. So that's what had me feeling grown.
That's real.
It's a podcast, it's a video, and more.
Okay. Speaking of being the person that takes care of your grass, try to segue that real nice. So in chapter 5, Kev and Melissa are talking about how their relationship was before they got married, when they were still young, like in high school, then in college, and then once they got married and had kids, like how things had just morphed for them. So originally they kind of started out as business partners, like Kev was doing his acting thing, and then Melissa was his stage manager. And then when she had their first son, she had to be full-time mom. And so Kev was feeling some kind of way because he didn't feel like he was being supported by Melissa. And Melissa was feeling some kind of way because Kev was like chasing his dream and not really, helping with the kids and stuff. So it was interesting reading about the marital roles and how she talked about how we kind of put our own experiences from our family, like subconsciously in our relationships that we're in now, because the way we grew up and what we saw kind of shapes us as a person and who we are.
Yeah.
And like one of the things that I related to was how she was saying her parents like were always like, looking at bills, trying to make sure things were paid, like just anxiety driven when it came to like bills and money. So that motivated her to have like a stable 9 to 5 kind of job. Like that was her thing. She was like, I'm going to be the responsible breadwinner. And I'm like, retweet, relate. I relate so hard to that because I could not imagine myself being like an entrepreneur per se, like full-time entrepreneur, because I need to have some kind of like consistency in income for sure health insurance and, just other stuff. Like I need that kind of security blanket. And so she was more security driven in that role as far as the breadwinner.
Yeah.
Or as a person making money in their relationship. Whereas Kev was just like, money is important, yes, but if I can get closer to my dream, I'm going to take those steps.
Yeah.
So, yeah, bleh. So, yeah, I just wanted to give that little overview, give my little part in there too. But yeah, so I'm going to ask y'all, what life-changing events have impacted your marital roles?
So I'll start off with, in the beginning stages, what my marital roles were. So I think in the beginning, my husband was working full time. He was in the military. And I was working part time and going to school. So me cooking and cleaning and doing like most of that wasn't a problem for me because he was bringing home all the money. So I think in that stage it was fine. And then he would help with cleaning, but I didn't think of it either way. Like you could help or you could not help. I don't care because you're the one doing most of the providing.
Mhm.
And I think it's funny because a lot of people post now like, where are the women who do this and that and this? And then people be like, well, where are the men who do this and that and this? And so I think about those times and I'm like, yeah, I was comfortable doing that because he was providing. But then once he got out of the military, he became we had our daughter and he stayed home with her for a while because he had his knee surgery. And that man was going through it because he was just like, I'm not fulfilling my role, which for him was, I want to be the provider no matter what. Like, even though I felt like it's great that you're staying home with our kid, I'd rather her be with you than be at some random daycare. But he just felt like he just wasn't fulfilling his duty as the husband and the father and things like that. And then eventually he started working. So then I ended up picking up more of the playing that mother role, playing the role of housekeeper. Like I was doing a lot because he went back to work. But I'm like, okay, this is not like when we were first together where you were the main person working and I was the housemaker. Like now we both are working fully and you have to carry your weight in the home. Yeah, so basically just now that we were both working, the weight of the household chores I felt should also be split the same because you're working, let's say 9 to 5, I'm working 9 to 5. We both bringing in money. So we both, when we get home, we have this baby, we both need to pull our weight in the house. And that was a very, very, very difficult transition for us just because we spent, I don't know how many years we were married before we had our daughter, maybe 2 or 3. So he was used to me doing everything. And even for the first couple of months of her being here, he was still used to it because I didn't complain. Like I just felt like this is what I'm supposed to do. But I was so stressed and that stress came out in the way I spoke, the way I would attack him about stuff. And it's like, he don't understand why he's being attacked because I haven't communicated back to communication, like what my issue is. But once I was like, okay, listen, I'm stressed. This is what's going on. I need you to step up. He did better. Is he where he's supposed to be? I would say like 80%, which is good. It's progress. Yeah, from 0. So yes, that's great.
80% in your eyes, or would he say that?
I think he would say 80% too, because there's times we've had discussions where he's like, I know there's more I could do, and I always roll my eyes because I'm like, just do it. Don't tell me about there's more you could do. Just do it. But I think at this stage though, we're comfortable and things are flowing a lot better. So I'm not as pushy. And if I feel like, okay, there's something I want done, I'll just let him know before it gets to the point of me being annoyed about it. So if I'm like, oh, I needed him to do this in the house, I'll just say, hey, I need you to do this by this date. Otherwise, if it gets to this date, I'm gonna be mad again. I'm gonna be mad about it. So let me give you an opportunity. Because before it'd be like, I need you to do this now. And now it's like, okay, no, you can't just make people do things whenever you want them to do it. So I give the I give some leeway, but also understand that if I have to say it again, I'm going to be mad. So do you want me to be mad about it, or do you want to just do it? And I think that's where he's more of a, let me just do what this girl say because I don't got time. But it just is what it is. And I think we will continue to learn and grow. And like, as our kids get older, some of the stuff we'll start teaching them, like, oh, you need to clean up after yourself.
Yeah.
So that'll be one less thing for us to do, because I mean, they're 2 and 3. They can clear the table, but in the process of teaching them how to clear the table, just know that it's going to be stuff like on the way to the trash can. They're dropping things, but I can't just be like, no, just leave it. Like, I still try to teach them, even though it's giving me more work in some cases. But yeah, I'm trying, and I know things will get hopefully better, or it'll continue to change.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. For us, I mean, we've gone through plenty of seasons of marital roles. I am definitely probably way more. Let me not even say that because it's 100% fact. Way more lazy than John is. So when it comes to stuff like washing dishes, cleaning up, that one it's weird because I clean up in different ways. It's kind of like like when I clean, I clean. Like there's no stopping me. Like no, this needs to be done like this. Like very particular. But then if I'm not in that mode, then it's like, all right, I can get to that
When you get
when
to
it's cleaning mode time.
it.
Like, but right now it's not cleaning mode time. We're not at that yet. And before that was a big thing for the two of us. Just because John is very anal about things, like things need to be done this way. It needs to be done my way or the highway. That was I always would say that. Like, dang, is it your way or the highway? And he's like, yes. And I'm like,
Exactly.
My way is the
I'm like,
standard.
well, that doesn't work for me. So I'll do it the way I want to do it. So like as an example, when we fold clothes, like I'm left-handed, so I fold clothes in a different way than he folds clothes, and it took him so long to get used to that, where it was like
Are
the
all your
shirt.
clothes backwards?
Yeah, so it's like, oh, well, the opening of the shirt is this over here instead of right here, and he's like, well, why can't you just fold it the other way? And I'm like, that just doesn't work. Like I just don't turn that way. So I tried it, and I'm like, well, I can't even get the daggone fold right because this isn't how my body is doing. So it's taken some time to get used to that. Um, but I do think it's interesting. The book was not challenging for me this chapter. Some of the chapters are a little bit more challenging because they're definitely like some of the roles that they end up picking up are kind of like I feel gender based.
Yeah.
And
Very hetero.
John and I are not a heterosexual couple, so
Yeah.
a lot of the things we do aren't based on like, well, you should be cooking and cleaning. Like for food, like both of us love to cook. It's just kind of who's in the mood to cook, or like because sometimes I'll just be like, I want to make this, and then he'll be the same way. Cleaning, it's the same thing. I will say that I do like outdoor activities. Both of us are pretty involved in that. Like before we were doing this, usually I go out and I cut the grass just because I like cutting the grass.
Yeah.
John is more than fine with cutting the grass. Typically, I cut the grass, he edges or weed whacks, as some people
Yes,
would say.
weed whacking.
So that's typically how we would do. But then just now, like I was watching on the camera John cut the grass because I was just like, is it? How's it going? Okay, like okay, there, right there, that spot. Like there we go. So I think with us, it's just kind of it goes into like things that you like to do. Like John hates vacuuming. I love vacuuming. Maybe it's just a line thing. Like I feel like that's the same thing with the grass. I just like seeing lines. Where I was like, "Ooh, look, I did that." But now we have a shark, so it does it for us.
doesn't. Yeah.
But either way, yeah. So I think that's kind of how the roles work with us. Sometimes it's like whoever doesn't like something doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Like bugs. I don't like. It's not that I
It's
don't.
definitely not my job.
I don't like killing bugs. Like if I see a spider, we roommates now. That's it. Like
You're not gonna take it outside?
then I gotta catch it. And usually I don't want to do that either. So I'll just be fine. And then John's like kills. And I'm like, well, that was good for you. Like, I'm glad that you did that. So then I'm like, well, I clean it up. But now I'll be trying to do that. But I take care of the plants. I'm a plant daddy.
Not the wink. Okay.
Oh no. I think for us, because we're newly married, like I think we all have roles. But I think ours, we definitely make a concerted effort not to do like the typical gender-based roles. Um, we just kind of flow with what is needed in whatever season. Um, so I think part of it is, like for example, I used to like to cook a lot. So of course, like when we first got married, like I was cooking a lot, and like now it's more so like I have to ask him to cook because he prefers my cooking because he got used to my cooking, and I'm like,
the excuses.
exactly. So it's like, oh, do you want to cook? And it's just like, I don't though. I really don't. So it's interesting, and like that would be my role. I guess you could say my role. And then his would be, any of the heavy lifting kind of stuff, like going to pick things up, going to the store to like, get whatever I needed if I was doing something like, um, and then we both kind of shared the cleaning part. But when I was doing grad school and also when I was studying for the PMP, I had like no bandwidth for anything outside of basic care of myself and studying. So he did a lot of the shopping, the cooking, the cleaning, and like I was starting to feel bad because I'm like, I'm not pulling my weight. And he's like, there's no scoreboard. We're not like, it's not a I do this, you do this kind of thing. It's just what do you have the bandwidth for? What do you have the capacity for? And kind of go from there. So I like that we kind of flow with that. I just think we definitely need to continue to keep open communication about it because then you do get that like frustration of like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm sick of doing this. Why don't you do this? And it's like, or if my thing specifically, I don't want to have to ask. I don't want to have to ask. Period.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know.
I don't want to I'm a project manager by trade. I give people direction all day. I come home, what's the last thing I want to do? Be a project manager. Give people direction. I've made all the decisions throughout the day. I come home, I'm like, I don't want to make another decision for the rest of the day. Decision fatigue. Like it's a real thing. So that's usually where we kind of get caught up where it's just like, just tell me what you need. Tell me what needs to be done. And I'm like, we live in the same house. We see the same things. We know what's done. So what we have done is start like a shared list of like things that need to be done and then either assign somebody that task if they're going to do it or leave it on the list but have a due date. So we have that shared list so that we can kind of keep track of what needs to be done and then somebody either takes it over or we are both going to do it on a certain day. So that's been helping with that though. But it's still again open communication, a lot of communication. But there's times where it's just like, bruh, nah, I'm upset.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about it.
John
I'ma complain.
He's like that. The other day, he had made breakfast, and I ate the breakfast. So then he started washing the dishes, and I was trying to finish this TV show. Like I was on a mission to finish the show because I was like, we're gonna talk about it. I just know we are. So I was like, I gotta be ready. So I'm like watching the show, and then John says, "Can you help me clean up?" And I was like, okay. So then I get up and I start like wiping down the table. Like I pause the show, I start cleaning up, and he's like, I shouldn't have to ask you to do this. And I was like, you're right. You shouldn't have to ask. And then he got so mad. And then I was like,
because
wait,
you realized
I was
it.
like, why are we mad? And he was like, because you should have got up. And I was like, you're right. I should have.
Shaun,
And then,
you making me mad.
Exactly. I'm already like,
and I was like, I was like, I won't let
so
that happen.
So you do better
anymore.
and you chose not to do better. It's like
no. At that moment, I really wasn't thinking about that because I was like, I need to be ready for later in the future because I already know this is gonna happen. So I was like very focused on something. So then he just snapped me out of it, and I was like, "Oh, you're right. Like I completely missed that. Let me do this now."
Okay.
So then I started doing it. So then he was mad, and I was just like, "I don't know why you're mad." And then so he finishes the dishes, and he was like, "Yeah, I shouldn't have been mad. Like you literally just got up and walked over here, and then did what you were supposed to do. You said you admitted you were wrong, and that was it."
Yeah, but sometimes you be wanting to still be mad though.
Yeah.
Like when you
Yeah.
start asking those questions and they like, yeah, you right. Give me the time to be
Like-
mad. Like
I think it was just the fact that I was just like, "Yeah, you're right. I shouldn't have done that."
yeah, people
then
don't
it's like-
expect that
That's
and
response.
it's like,
That's
What do
true.
you mean you're?
That's true.
Why are you saying you're wrong?
Yeah.
I'm not done.
Yeah.
So then it's just like, oh, okay. Like, I'm sorry.
That's good on him though, because I'd
Yeah.
have still been like
Exactly. I'm still gonna hold on to this for a little longer.
mhm.
I'll see you. I'll see you a little later. I'll let
But-
you know.
Like, not to my defense, but I thought about when you were saying that, like, oh, well, tell me what you want or tell me something to do. So John does that. So then I do it the way that I want to do it. And then he gets mad, like, no, you didn't do it the way I wanted it done. And I'm like, well, you didn't say specifically how you wanted it done. I did it the way that I do it. So
Mhm.
sometimes he does things like and then it ends up backfiring sometimes. So the other day he's like, go to the dollar store. I want you to get me these rubber gloves. It's the one that it's the 2-pack.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay,
The
go to the
pink
dollar
ones.
store. Yeah, he's like, they're usually yellow. Like, and I was like, okay, I know exactly which ones
Oh,
you're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about. So I go to the dollar store. I'm looking at them and I'm like, this is one pair. And I'm like, but I feel like this is the one that he wants. So I was like, I don't know which one to get because he said the 2-pack. And I was like, huh. So then I was like, I'm just going to buy multiple ones so that I don't get yelled at. So I buy multiple ones and then I'm like, I bought multiple gloves. And he's like, I was very clear with you when I said get the 2-pack. And I was like, yes, they did not have the 2-pack. I was like, they all say one pair. And he's like, I see where I went wrong. The 2-pack was 2 gloves.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, I thought 2-pack
Yeah.
was like 2 pairs.
Mhm.
And then he's like,
I get it now.
well, at least we have 2 gloves. So I was like, oh, okay.
Shaun, I mean, John needs to teach a class because I'd be like, so why did you waste money buying all these packs of gloves
I
then?
only bought 2.
I don't care because I was clear.
I would have been satisfied with all the gloves coming back. I would have been like, I mean, at least he bought gloves.
No, I think I would have been like, why did you buy all these gloves?
No, I only bought 2. So the reason I bought 2 is because I was like, he said the yellow ones. And I was like, okay, but we've also used these ones before. I was like, but they come in different colors. So I
Mhm.
was like, well, I'm not sure which one. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be this one, but the 2-pack threw me off, so I'm not sure. So I was like, I'll just get both.
Why didn't you call?
He was at work, and then I
Mm.
was rushing.
Gotta get
Yeah.
these gloves.
Like, I gotta get these gloves, and I was like, he already gonna be mad because I ain't had no Coke Zero. So
Oh.
Yeah.
yeah, so that's that has nothing to do with marital roles.
It is.
Oh,
It is
Kinda.
though. It is like
I
you're-
think because you guys don't have a traditional like set of marital roles, it may look different for you. But like if it was me, I wouldn't necessarily. I would be the one that normally goes to the store to get things like that. So if I was giving instructions for someone else to do it, I would have to be specific like that. Like get these that look like this, and they are usually in this
Bruh.
aisle. Like
yeah,
being really nitpicky about it so that it's done.
the way you wanted to.
Yeah,
be
the
done.
way I was gonna say
Like-
correctly, but I was like, what's the other
Usually-
word?
like,
that's what it
usually
feels like.
I'm
though.
like, send me a picture of what
That's
you
what
want.
Ronald does.
So
Like,
then that
do you have a
way
picture of it?
I can know exactly what it was. Because one day I bought like mayo, and that was the end. It was the wrong one. And I was like, isn't this the one that's in the refrigerator? And he's like, yeah, because that's the one you bought last time. That I told you not to buy. I was like, dang it! Here we go again.
Oh no.
I know I'd be caught in a loop.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a problem with just doing things myself, which is it's good in terms of stopping unnecessary arguments, but it's bad because I'm giving myself so much to do.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so I probably won't change, but but it's something that I think about sometimes. Like, do you have to be the one that does X, Y, and Z? Like, I do all the laundry pretty much. I do because I like the way that I do it, and I don't
Mhm.
have time to be trying to explain. And then I do pretty much all the grocery shopping unless my husband has something specific he wants to make. Then he will buy those specific ingredients for his specific dish
Mhm.
and nothing else. Like, and so but I'm so used to doing things a certain way. Like, okay, this day I'm gonna make a cart. I've already started my cart of like the major things we buy for the month. Add anything else you want. And so he'll just go in and add whatever extra stuff that I might not have put. But then when I go to like the smaller grocery stores where we don't order from, I just pick the things because I'm going to be doing the cooking. So I pick the things that I want. If I
Mhm.
ever was to say, let me send him to the grocery store, I think I would be so frustrated by what I got back that I just wouldn't put myself in that situation. So
You, I'll save that comment. I was gonna say you don't trust his.
not for
Okay.
grocery shopping.
That's fair.
Not for grocery shopping.
Everybody
Not
has their own
I
process.
think
Yeah,
even
yeah.
for a lot of like even for like going out to buy the kids stuff. Oh, this is a story. Okay. Bruh. Okay, so we were out and my husband always says, "You do too much. You do too much." So I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna chill." We were supposed to be going to somebody's graduation dinner. And so he was like, "You pack too much stuff when we go out." I said, "Okay, you pack the kids' bag for us to go
I
out."
remember this.
And even before that, I always have stuff in my car for the kids. So I'll have extra pull-ups, I'll have extra wipes, I'll have change of clothes in my car. This man decided to clean out my car. And so the same like it's the same period of time where he had cleaned out my car and then said, "I'm going to pack the bag for them." Then we get to this event and my son has an accident. And I'm like, well, I always have clothes in my car. Let me run to my car because I look in the bag, nothing, no clothes, no anything that I could put this man in, not even extra pull ups for a kid that's potty training. So I go to my car, nothing, no extra pull ups, no change of clothes. So now my son is sitting in this joint because I had to take the wet clothes off and I had a jacket, I think, and I just wrapped it around. So my baby naked with my jacket wrapped around him or whatever I had that I just wrapped around him. And I'm like, I mean, at this point, we gotta go.
Mhm.
But at this dinner, they had ordered everybody was placing orders. So it's like if we leave, our food is gonna come and we're not gonna be here. And they're still gonna get charged for it. He's like, let's not leave. Let's go. I'm gonna go buy him something. Why does man go to the store? He's taking a long time. It's like maybe an hour later, and I'm still sitting here. Our food has come. We've eaten. I'm still holding this boy in my lap so he's not running around butt naked in this restaurant. And I'm calling, like, what's going on? Like, where are you? We just need a pair of pants. And so he finally gets there. Y'all, this wasn't that long ago. So what this man got me a 12-month pair of pants and an 18-month pair of pants. Our son wears a 3T. So I'm like, who baby's supposed to fit this?
Put some leggings on it.
So then
Thanks.
I'm like, so I was
Not even
he
the one
bought
leg.
that was the thing. He bought multiple pair thinking he was doing something. Like, oh, I bought different sizes. Why do you not know the man's size? And why are all of these wrong? And so I'm like, I was so mad. Everybody in there was just looked at me and they were like, "Are you all right?" And I was like, "I'm not. Like, we gotta go." Like, and so I just squeeze him into one of these pair of pants. We go to the car, and the whole ride I'm just silent because I don't know what to say. Like, are you that far removed from these children and what they are doing that you don't know what size they wear? But then, like, thinking about it now, it's like, is it his fault or is it me always doing it where he's like,
Mhm.
but our son is way past 12 months in age. So even if you were just doing it by age, he was past that age. So at least get the man a 2T, like something. But yeah, so I don't even know how I ended up getting over that situation, but I was just mad. And I want to say I returned that stuff too. Did he return it or did I return it? I feel like I returned it. and I was even more mad. But it was just a whole cycle of you do everything. So when it's his turn to be like, because he should have stayed at the restaurant, and I should have went and just grabbed a pair of pants because it'd been probably way quicker. And then they weren't even cheap pants. Like
Dang.
you didn't even pick a cheap option. You went and bought some expensive wrong size pants. Like it was just a lot of things going wrong, and so. Yeah, it was I feel like people who were there when this happened are gonna be like, yes, I remember this. She was mad. But yeah, I was so mad, but I don't know if I could really blame him at the end of the day. Even though I say to him, "Oh, I'm taking out this size from their closets today and putting in this side," or we go to the store sometimes together. I'm like, "Hey, look for this size." It's not like he's that far. He's not that far removed where we're never going shopping together. If we're stocking up on kids' clothes, you're there. So you know what size I'm buying. I don't know how in this scenario things fell through the way they did, but I don't know. Like, I just don't know what more I could do.
It feels like it's also like a principle thing, because I know that's something we both kind of can get hung up on, is like the principle of like, you either haven't paid attention to the detail of these are your kids' sizes.
Yeah.
So it's not even that you have to buy these things. It's just that we've been doing the laundry. We put the clothes away. We pack their bags. And like, at this point, it should be a thing that you just know by, just looking at or glance, because, it's situational. Like, you're there, you're here. So you should have that knowledge. So I can understand that that's what makes you more angry, is like, the principle of the matter of like, you should know your son's size. You should know these things because it's in the house. It's not something that I have to tell you. It's in his age. Like, so I get that. I get that. It's hard though. It's hard to let go. When it's principle, it's hard to let go. Situational, you can kind of get over it. But if it's like something that also applies to another situation or is related to another situation or a larger thing at hand, then it's like, it's a lot harder to just be like, okay, I'm over it. At least for me.
Yeah.
I mean, then I feel like that certain situation, it was also a snowball effect.
That
a lot
too.
of things
that
going
too.
on.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do less, and then it's yes, I'm gonna do more. Let me clean out your car for you, trying to do something good. Let me pack the bag, trying to do more, and then it's like, and then it all just went. It just all went down the hill after that. But I mean, so I could see principle, like the principle you should know, but then also the principle, like, well, you did try. Yeah, I tried, whatever. Like, I heard it.
Exactly.
I was trying to defend, and I was like, nope.
Yeah.
Only there is no try.
Yeah. Well, and so after that situation, I think he is more aware now of, I understand why her stuff is like this in this car. I don't keep my car junky. Like, everything that's in there is in there for a reason. Yeah. And so, like, even the books, I keep books in the car for my kids because they have book day at school. If they do not have a book for book day and I say, oh, you forgot your book, it's book day, they will have a breakdown. And so I'll be like, you know what? I have an extra book here. And that stops the breakdown from happening. If the one time where, again, cleaning out my car, and I'm like, I called because I was like, I know I have books in here. I call, where are all my books? Oh, I cleaned out your car. Your daughter's having a breakdown because she don't have a book for book day. Oh, that's why you keep books in the car? Yes. So it's things like that. Like, I do things in preparation, and because I know my kids, like, I know that this situation may happen or this situation may happen. There's nothing that is, and I know that we take my car most places. So my car is going to be fully stocked with everything that I could possibly need. Even like today, last night we came here. There's stuff that I packed for us to bring into your house. But if for any reason this wasn't enough, I have backups in the car.
You got backups for the backups.
Yes, because you never know. You never know what's going to happen, especially with kids. Like, they could have spilled something all over the clothes they had today, or they could have had an accident, or they could have don't like the pants they're wearing, or I don't know, like, anything can happen with kids. And because I've always been an over planner, even growing up, like when we went to track meets, my mom would sleep until it's time to get in the car and go, because she knows Moya's gonna pack the coolers, make sure we got sandwiches and burgers and hot dogs. I would wake up early on a track day and pack everything. Like, people would be like, y'all got burgers? Yes, I woke up this morning and made my family burgers. And we got ketchup and relish and mustard. Like, I've always been like that. So to me, like, sometimes we would have full meals because whatever I felt like eating, or like whatever I felt like we should have, I made sure we had it.
They setting out whole table.
All right.
A whole spread. A whole spread. And then I would be like, okay, these are the things my mom likes because she has to be here with us all day. So if she likes a certain drink, let me make sure it's in here. Like, she's the one grocery shopping. So if she already bought it, the least I can do is put it in a cooler for her and make sure she has a hat or her sunglasses, or like, those are things I've always done just as who I am. Not because I was taught to do it or because I don't know. I just always have been like that. I feel like I've always been taking care of people. So to me, it's second nature to be like, okay, these are all the things we need. Let's get it and let's make sure it's good. And to marry someone who is nothing like that is so, I don't know. It's just so like a learning curve to be like, everybody's not like that. Everybody doesn't think like that. Everybody doesn't plan ahead. Some people like to go with the flow. Some people like to spend money everywhere they go. Like, that's the other thing. If I get somewhere and I could have packed snacks, why don't I have the snacks? Because now I got to buy snacks and I don't want to spend $10 on something that was only $1 at the store. Yep. But yeah, it's a lot. We were talking about marital roles. We always end up like,
no, there's,
okay.
I need to go grab the book though. So what you were saying resonates with what Melissa said when she says, we all create narratives that become the scripts for our relationship. The story we tell ourselves about our marriage determines what we believe, how we act, and how we respond to new challenges.
Okay.
So by that, she goes into the stories about how her parents were, how she grew up. And so that determined, okay, this is how I'm going to be. I'm going to make sure, that things are prepared. Things are, we got backups, like things like that. Like, because she had that experience in her past, she's like, oh, this is the norm. Like, this is who I'm going to be. And so we bring that into our marriages. We bring that into our relationships with that expectation of like, oh, preparedness is a thing. Yeah. And I'm the same way. Like, I feel like I wasn't really a packer or a triple prepare until I had diabetes, where I had to always carry a bag. And like, it was always, extras of this and this and this. And then also snacks. And then also extras of this. Like, I'm packing like I'm about to be gone a week and I'm just walking out the house for, an event that's like 2 hours or something. Yeah. But my mom was one of those people who like at dance recitals and competitions got the cooler with the little roller, got the snacks on top. Yeah. Like, she was like, we're always going to be prepared. So it's like, I kind of learned that from my mom. So I had that expectation of like, okay, wherever you go, have, be prepared. Yeah. Have stuff in your car, have stuff in your purse, have stuff in a bag. Like, I feel naked if I don't have like all of my stuff or like a second of something. So, because this happened where, at least for me, where I've walked out and like, okay, I'm going to be like a normal person and not over prepare. And then something happens and I'm like, this is why I'm built the way I'm built.
Yeah.
I feel like me and John are, luckily, like, people probably wouldn't think that I'm as prepared as I could be. But I think I actually do a pretty decent job at being prepared for certain things, or at least being prepared for things that John isn't prepared for.
Yeah.
So sometimes, like, we'll be out and about and he's like starting to get all hangry and I'm like, good thing I brought you these snacks. Like, the only thing I did bring, but I knew you were going to be hungry. So it's like, here you go. Yeah. And it's like, oh, did you bring yourself something? Nope. But here
it's
you go.
You.
Yeah.
Like, so it will be interesting when we have children to see how that goes. I think preparation wise, we're both typically pretty good for that. There have been several occasions where we're about to go somewhere and then both of us come up with a bag. Like, oh, you have a bag too.
Yeah.
Huh. Well,
that must be nice.
Sometimes.
Listen, must be nice. Like,
I don't actually, and even with all my preparedness, I don't always prepare for my own self. Because when you said about, I brought a snack for you, but not for me, that's how I am. Like, I will forget myself. You saw all the stuff I brought for my kids. I brought them breakfast, lunch, snacks, juice, and I brought myself nothing. And so I was like, so what we eat? And just like, I have this in the fridge because I know that I can easily adapt to the situation, whereas they gonna need something. Yeah. And I don't want to leave it up to chance for them. Like, are they gonna like this? Are they not?
Mhm.
Speaking of like, make sure you like, comment, share.
Subscribe.
Yeah, that one too.
Please and thank you.
Yes. So yeah, just being prepared for them mostly, and for people around me. Like if I know that there's a need that I can help fulfill, I will try to, and then I will
Yeah.
figure it out for myself.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that. And the other day it was like, I got you a Fig Newton, and it's like, oh, and I have another one. And he's like, oh, why don't you eat it? And I was like, oh, I don't like Fig Newtons. Like, I got two of them, like, in case
Yeah.
you got
Yeah.
hungry again.
I mean, I think that's a beautiful thing about like learning another person too.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Mhm.
like you kind of try to make that shift. And I think also with stuff like that you're dealing with, where it's just like, okay, I have the books in the car because I know they will have a meltdown if, I forget that it's book day and they don't have a book. Like taking the time to explain that to him, like while
Mm-hmm.
it may feel like I shouldn't have to, or it's just second nature to you, it's one of those things where it's just like, okay, I have to break down my processes and the way I think
Yeah.
to my partner. Cause I've definitely had that experience where I'm just like, well, why didn't you do this? And da-da-da, why is it done this way? And he's like, I didn't think to do it that way because that's
Yeah.
not how I think, or that's not how I work, or how I operate. So for me, it's like, okay, I have to like slow down
Yeah.
and just be like, all right, I'm gonna take a breath. Let's really sort through this. Am I mad because he didn't do it my way, or am I mad because he didn't even think to do it or
Yeah.
see it, or what have you? Yeah. So the next question, um, or rather, the next topic is more so like, what do we see as shifts in our relationships and our relationship dynamics as or after having kids? Because in the book, again, like I said, like at first when they were just them two, like, she was like, oh, we hung out all the time. We were always together. I was his business partner. And then when we had a son, things drastically changed. Like
Yeah.
I'm always at home. I'm always doing the work. I have the solid job and he's, chasing his dream. And from his perspective, he's like, yes, I'm chasing my dream, but I have to work harder to prove that my dream is valid to them. And also, I still want to be involved. And then he was like, I kind of resented her because she got to spend all this time with my son, and I'm not spending as much time with him.
Mhm.
So it's like, and he's like, she also seemed like she was just a better parent than I was. So I resented her. So there's always like the two sides to like what's going on as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting to read how they talked about that shift after having their first son. So,
Yeah.
want to share?
I feel like I've talked about this a lot already.
Yeah.
I don't
But
mind
one thing
going.
I would say one thing I haven't mentioned is the remembering in marriage that you and your spouse come first. And I know that's like
It's a controversial
it's
thing, but
controversial a little bit. If you guys aren't solid, you don't have a good foundation for your kids. And a lot of people basically drift apart because they're focused so much on their kids and they forget about their relationship with their partner, who you want to be there once your kids are gone.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of those shifts that we now, I don't know at what point it really hit us, but like understanding me and him, like if we are not good, we cannot be good for our kids. So we need to take time out for ourselves. We need to make sure that we're still connecting. We need to make sure that we're still communicating. We are still feeling love for each other and expressing that love towards each other, however that comes. And then it's not that I don't know if it's the first or second, but just making sure that it's priority. Because of course there's going to be times where your kids and their needs come first. I swear I turned all these alarms off. Oh Lord. There are times where our kids are going to have needs that have to be put before like if I have a date night but my kid gets sick, of course your kid comes first in that situation. But for the most part, making sure that you plan in those, this is us.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that we don't lose us. That is very important. I think something that you guys, as you're coming into the phases of wanting to have kids and eventually having them, to remember, because these kids will have you will have you like almost at war over something that both of you wanted. Like this is something that's a reflection of you guys into the world a little bit. And if y'all are not good, the kid is going to not be good.
Yeah.
If you're not loving towards each other, people are going to see that in your kids. And that's one like a proud parent moment that I have is when people are like, your kids are so loving, your kids are so thoughtful, your kids share, or your kids do. Like anytime I'm getting compliments about them, I'm like, because they see it. They see, like if you see my kids, when they leave school, they hug everybody in the school. That's not a thing that I would necessarily do, but I do it for them. Because that's just what I want them to be. I want them to be loving. And so you'll hear in the entire school, they haven't been in some of these classes, but you'll hear kids like, bye so-and-so, bye so-and-so. And I'll see other kids leaving at the same time and they're not getting
the same
like,
greeting.
Yeah. And it always feels a little bit sad for those kids. But at the same time, I know that my kids are at least the one is very social and she drags her brother along. So he's just like, I mean, we giving hugs. We're giving hugs and he'll do it with her. And sometimes they'll be in, like yesterday, they were in bed. They were laying in my bed while I was getting dressed and they're just like talking to each other. And then they're like, I love you too. And then like they just hug each other. I'm like, this is so cute. like they're sweet to each other because they see that. And I can imagine what it could be if we were not doing those things.
Yeah.
And you see that in other kids, like kids that are super aggressive and just super. When we first got to the daycare we were at, there was a kid whose parents were going through a divorce. And I think she hit my daughter. Yeah, because I taught
about to pull up.
She hit my daughter. And so my daughter, when I picked her up, was like, so-and-so hit me. And I'm like, hold up a minute. Because I didn't get no messages about this. Like, if something happens at school, they're supposed to let me know. So I immediately, teacher, she's saying so-and-so hit her. And she's like, oh, yeah, it's da-da-da-da-da. Her parents are going through this. What they got to do with my baby?
Listen.
And she's like, well, they've always been friends. They've always played together. And I guess the aggression of just watching that process is what made the kid lash out. And I'm asking my daughter, like, do you still want to hang out with her? Do you still want her to be your friend? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, you better than me. You better than me. But she's like, she was very forgiving. She's very forgiving. And she's like, it's okay. And to some degree, I'm like, I like that. But I know as she gets older, I'm going to have to make sure I'm instilling her. Don't let people take advantage of you.
Boundaries.
Don't let, like making sure that we set those boundaries. But for now, she knows she's more protective of her brother than she is of herself. So if you mess with him, it's like, don't touch him. And I'm like, girl, if they mess with you, you just let it happen. But yeah, just making sure that you remember to put your relationship first, because that's the first relationship they're gonna see, and you want their relationships in the future to kind of reflect that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's good advice. I mean, I think they talked about that in there as well. Just making sure you remember your foundation.
Keep the main thing the main thing. That's what our marriage counselors, premarital counselors told us.
Yeah.
For us, I think I will have, I think, a bigger seasonal change than John, because I'm definitely the more social one. So I'm going to have to do a lot of the slowing down of the like external events and hanging out with people just to make sure that I am being present and there, and then it's not falling on to John.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm fully aware of that, so I'm aware of it now. So I'm like, yep, like this will not, like I have this in my head already. And it's like, yep, don't think that you about to go out every day. No more volleyball. Twice a week. Maybe once a week.
Yeah.
Maybe no times a week.
Yeah, and that's something y'all can discuss and figure out what is enough for you to not be annoyed by, or for John to not be annoyed by it. Because it's like, if you are going out and you're just free, you get to do whatever you want to do, and I gotta be here. But you still have to do some things. So making sure that both of you are on the same page about, okay, what is okay how much is too much. Like, let me know if you feel like I'm
Yeah.
going out too much, or if you
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like
yeah.
you need a break and you want to go out.
I always encourage him to, like, you go out. You
Yeah.
get some activity that you want to do, something you want to learn, and pursue that. Like, have that joyful moment for you
Yeah.
Mhm.
specifically. It doesn't have to be something for both of us. It can be
Yeah.
just for you, and you go out and like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, in the book, like Melissa says, she felt some kind of way about Kev having more free time.
Yeah.
And crazy enough, I felt like I related to that because I felt like, okay, I'm going through this like big transition at work. And then I'm also like doing this like side business of reselling. And then I'm also, in grad school trying to get a degree. And then it's like, and on top of, in the house responsibilities. And I'm like, so you can just go to work, come home, do school when you feel like it, and play your little games.
Get help.
Yeah, when a black woman says "little" in front of something, is major disrespect. But yeah, like you can play your little games and watch
She
your little
says it again.
shows. Yes,
Major
and watch your
disrespect.
little shows and just live your life free.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, while I did choose a lot of those responsibilities, it was just like I was resenting the fact that he had so much free time and not taking into account like, okay, some of the house chores or some of the things that we needed done around the house weren't being taken over. And then again, as I mentioned before, I don't want to be the person that always has to tell you like this needs to be done, this needs to be done, this needs to be done, because I got 50 million other things going on in my head. So I really, when she was talking about that, I'm like, I don't honestly foresee that being a huge issue when we have kids, funny enough. But I do think it's a consistent conversation that we have to have even now, just
Yeah.
so we can learn how to better navigate when seasons change, because you'll end up with situations like that where, whether self-inflicted or not, somebody might have less capacity for stuff and you have to pick up, whatever slack or responsibilities that they can't take over anymore.
Yeah.
So, in relation to friendship, would you say that we have roles? And if so, what would you say they are? And do you have any adjustments or
Are you satisfied with your role?
Yeah, are you satisfied with your role? Do you have notes for somebody else? Like, how do we feel about the roles that we have? If any.
Shaun, you
I
had
wanna
yours,
go
the fun
first.
one.
Oh yeah, I am the fun one. I try to be. But I'm also like, well, I just like randomly come in. I feel like it's like, hey, I'm here. Like, what y'all trying to do? Let's do something. I have a lot of ideas, as you guys already know. Um, not all those ideas are always implemented, but they're ideas, and they're gonna be implemented one day. Like, I still have to plan rock climbing.
Yeah.
That was just hard because
And
time
Shaun
passed.
the sommelier night.
That's the one I really
Yeah.
want.
Exactly.
Yeah, when this patio becomes a thing, then we can do
Now
it.
we gotta wait for the patio. First we were waiting on the house. Now we gotta wait on the patio.
He keeps
He
pushing
keep
it.
moving this mile marker.
You want to host
Accountability.
it? You want to host it?
No, you were supposed to host it because you were waiting on your house. Y'all got the house.
Are you trying to host it at her house?
That would be fine. We'll figure it out.
Okay, I mean I can host it if that's gonna be the barrier.
Oh, now I need another excuse.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. So that's me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Jess, what's your role?
What's your role, Moyo?
Everybody knows my role. I've always been the quote unquote mama bear of the group.
Is that what we say?
Yes, that is what y'all, especially, I can't say people names, but yes, people have said that.
We said everybody name on this. The people in our five, the five of us, everybody know their name.
Well, anyways. Yeah, but I feel like that's the role I've always had. The one who gets everybody together, the one who makes sure that people are good. Even through college, that was my role. And I have constantly tried to back out of this role and keep getting kind of dragged back in. But I think recently I've decided that it's all right. Because Remarcus was like, you playing this stuff again? I thought you was done. And I was like, I was, but we ain't doing nothing.
It's because I came back. The fun one came back.
No,
Is it?
The
No.
thing was, you said you
was
literally
gonna-
said you
yeah.
were gonna start planning,
I
and I'm
did
like,
plan.
bro,
I
a month has
planned
gone by,
some.
another month has gone
Yes,
by.
I did plan some, but then I was like, I ain't planning everything.
But that's what I was doing before, so I
Yeah,
thought
I
you were
was-
stepping up.
No, I was like, I will plan stuff, but I'm not about to be the only person that's planning stuff. Especially because I'm like, y'all ain't even respond, and then being mad, and it's like, well, not y'all, but it's just like, okay, like let's do something on this day. Everybody good? No comments, and then it's like, oh, well, why didn't that happen? Nobody responded. That's why it didn't happen.
That's why I do polls and stuff,
I did a poll,
and we
but-
responded.
Yeah. I mean, but that, like, I even sent that out like months in advance. Like, all right, y'all, like, I'm trying to get on the calendar. It's coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't know what my role is. I don't know.
I think that I want you to step up in being like, all of us should have similar roles at this point. Like,
I feel like I've planned events. I plan not a lot of them, but I plan them when I feel like it and when it's something that I want to do, which makes sense for my personality. Like, if I want to do it, then I'll plan it, and I have.
I
But
feel like you planned event.
maybe
Yeah,
we need
I
to have
do.
a schedule then.
and my thing is, in my head there is a schedule. We try to do something once a month,
Maybe once every 2 months. It
and
might
that
end up
at least
being
that's
that,
what
but-
it's trending. But I also feel like part of it is wanting everybody's participation, especially in like the big group, and then trying to accommodate everybody's schedule. And so for me, instead of trying to just accommodate everybody or even be open to all the opinions and extra stuff or waiting on people, I just be like, well, I got a husband, me and him gonna do this, and or I'll go with my other friends who happen to be free this day. So it's not that I don't plan, it's just sometimes I'll be like, I'm not dealing with it. I know like what'll be a quick, let's just go here, do this. Or if I assume that it's not going to be something other people will be interested in, then I'm like, I'll go.
I mean, you can
I
still put it out.
Yeah,
there,
I was gonna
'cause-
say, I think even if we do things like that, just putting it out like, hey, on this day we're doing this. It don't matter if y'all are coming or not. Just letting y'all know if anybody wants to join. Like, I think that's fine. It doesn't have to be I planned it 2 months in advance and now we're doing it. Because even the thing that I started to plan, now I'm like, people I wanted to go aren't on the winning date. So am I still gonna plan it for
Oh, I
the?
picked all the dates.
I know some people picked all the dates, but I think there's a date that's winning that I don't think y'all picked.
I don't know.
We can double check later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, I need to verify if they just can't make that date, or will we do it without them? Because then people are gonna be like, that's bias. She didn't pick the date because they couldn't make it. And I don't want to be like that either.
Yeah.
Can I also say that when we say planning stuff, it's like actual events, because I feel like we hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
This
hang
is
out.
like going out and doing something.
Yeah,
'cause
like
we
a
definitely-
brunch or like golfing, mini golf. That was what we did in February. We all did like the little mini golf and
Puttery.
drinking puttery, DC puttery. Like
Yeah.
we do stuff. It's just we hang out. Let me say, we hang out, but we don't always do event.
Yeah, we're
type
trying
stuff.
to do more events on a
Yeah.
regular,
Get out the
regularish
house.
basis.
I'm always cool with just hanging out too.
Listen,
so
that's my steez right
I'm
there.
give
Like,
me give me a glass.
let me come in my comfy clothes. I don't gotta be cute.
And that's true. I know last time I didn't gave y'all robes.
Feeling all luxurious.
Anyways,
yeah.
back to the
But yeah, what were you saying? You would like me to step up more?
I do. I want everybody to. I think, and maybe instead of me planning more, I should start delegating more, because that's the lane I like to be in.
But that's what we did for DC Puttery. Like you said, I would like to go here. And I was like, okay, I'll put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. I bought the tickets. People sent me their money. And we went.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
I'm
the
saying
thing, too.
I can make it a more delegating thing, because there's things that I think we've put out there to do, and I could say, okay, Shaun, plan your thing. Does this month work for you? Can you take that? And if you say yes, you take it. If you say no, because otherwise, like we've seen this, because I've been thinking about this sip and chill whatever thing for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like,
oh,
dang,
yeah, I forgot
Shaun.
about it.
Mm-hmm.
But if I would have
I
said,
forgot.
Shaun, in May, can you plan this event, since you've been talking about it? If you can't use your house, use my house or Jess' house or something like that. Like that, I don't mind doing that. I just don't like, for the event I'm trying to plan now. I first have to figure out what date works. Then what kind of tickets do people want to buy? Am I going? I'm probably not gonna buy everybody's ticket. Everybody go online and buy your own tickets
Listen,
because
that's the
them
easiest
Jones
way
are
to do
not
it.
cheap. And if you miss out in your window of buying the ticket, it's gonna be what it is. Like we just gonna go with strangers then.
I feel like I definitely gotta. It's because I try to be so caring, and then I always try and get people's input, and I need to just do and just be
Yeah.
like, all right, this is
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That's my
Pick your
downfall.
date and go with it.
Yeah.
That's where it
I
goes wrong.
just because I don't like hearing everybody's feedback, honestly.
And I
Especially
do.
when it's something that I want to do. I don't care what you guys say. This is what we doing. This is how I want to do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to
That's true.
like. No feedback.
Yeah.
But no, sometimes I'll take it. But for the most part, like for example, for your birthday, like me and your husband were planning that. Everybody had something to say, and I was like, you know what? If you coming, you coming. If you not, you not.
Yeah.
And people still enjoyed themselves.
Yeah.
They just complained a lot along the way.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. That's
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's in marital roles. It's friendship roles that we've had a lot of roles throughout our
we've
friendship,
I
but
think
I
that
think
too.
at the core of it, some of us have kept a certain role and are trying not to be in that role anymore. And I'm speaking for my own self. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm able to even give it up because I say I want to give it up, but then when things don't happen, there's again that frustration. It's just like my marriage. Like I'm going to either do it myself or it's not going to be done. And I don't know. I would. That's something I have to work through on my own.
Yeah. I guess if I had to give mine a name, I think because I felt like yours was more of the planner, but you kind of all encompassed it by saying the mama bear because it also includes just like checking in on people and like helping people out. And I don't know, maybe because I feel like in the recent years I haven't needed as much help that I'm like, I don't see you as a mama bear. But I could see how like in a lot of our other relationships that let me say in our friends group that you have like had to come through for people. Like in college, I was a wreck. So yeah, you were coming through a lot. But like recently, like it's just like, oh well, I'm all the way down here and like I just kind of figured things out. My parents are closer. So I haven't really needed you in that role, but the planner for sure. Um, but I've felt like I've been a support friend. Like when people have stuff, when people need help, like I'll show up, but it's upon request or notification of something going on. But yeah, I would like to be more of a planner if I have things that I have in mind that I would like to do. Ergo, I'm probably not going to change.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, other thing with the mother role, I think at some point your mom kind of, not saying I'm y'all mom, but like the mom in a role doesn't take on that same responsibility. In college, it was more of a I'm hands on because this is how we're building our friendship. Now it's more I am a listening ear to bounce ideas off of, or I am the person that people are going to come to ask different questions about different things. And I think I'm still in that role.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm still in that role. It's just it just looks different now.
Mhm.
And there's times like I feel like when you have a kid or when you have a kid,
Girl, you about to be
exactly. I'm gonna go right back,
phone
kind of
ringing.
in that same position. So my role, I don't think will ever change. It's just gonna look different as things are happening in our lives. And maybe at some point, you guys will end up, I don't know, would y'all end up being in the same role? We all end up kind of being co-parents. I don't know. Parenting ourselves. Like what happens when all the parents are gone? What do you do?
I mean, I think we all present a different perspective for each other. So in that support vein too, where it's just like we'll be venting or just talking about something that's going on and either be the listening ear or the person giving advice to the other person. So I feel like we do have that symbiosis there where like if there's something I'm going through and because you are similar to my husband, I'll probably ask you or I'll probably ask Shaun or I'll bring it up when we're all on the call and then you all present a different perspective to me that clearly I have this one way of thinking, so or my way of thinking, so it hasn't really occurred to me. So I get that perspective. Or, when you or when John like are dealing with something and I'm like, well, I kind of see their perspective.
Yeah.
Or maybe this is what's going on, or maybe consider this, or maybe ask this. Like I think we all kind of share that with the more well, I mean, I said with the more vulnerability, but with our vulnerability with each other as far as like what's going on in our lives, then we try to be that person that supports, be that person that like cheers you on or gives you advice or kind of just brings a different perspective.
Yeah.
Well,
Whew, that was a long one.
it was a long one.
Yeah, so thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, all of the above. And have a good day. Cut that grass.
We love you.
Bye.
What I need from you is understanding.
Where you were going with that?
Me neither.